All right. Hello and welcome to the Planning Commission public meeting today. This meeting is taking place in person, streaming live via Zoom, and it is being recorded. For those on Zoom, please remain muted unless you are asked to speak. Tonight is a public hearing on the Critical Areas Ordinance. We'll start with a roll call. The following planning commissioners are present in the room: Commissioner Russell, Alves, Corbin, Fritsch, Moore, and Scootley. With 6 planning commissioners present, we do have a quorum. We're now ready to begin. Chair Corbin.
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. For the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion passes 6-0.
Motion to approve.
Good to hear from you tonight. Is there a second?
Second.
Saying aye?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion- Tonight's agenda item is the public hearing on amendments to the critical areas ordinance. Is there anyone in the audience who believes the public was not notified in a timely manner of this public hearing? Yeah, hear none. Nobody in the room. All right, do any commissioners have a disclosure to make? Okay, hearing none, I'll turn it over to staff for the presentation.
Great. Thank you and good evening, everybody. For the record, my name is Natalie Kamenicki, Senior Long Range Planner. It is a pleasure to be here with you all tonight for the Critical Areas Ordinance public hearing. This hearing was noticed in the legal newspaper of record on October 23rd, and notice was also provided via email to the comprehensive plan email list. Materials were provided to on the community development webpage and sent to the Planning Commission on November 3rd. No testimony from the public has been received. However, comments from DNR and FutureWise were forwarded to you on Friday, November 7th with a response memo this morning. Next slide. Because there have been 2 workshops on the critical areas ordinance update, this presentation will be very high level and we'll touch on the following: why we update the critical areas ordinance, where we are in the periodic update, staff reports, review materials, and website link, some take-home messages, time for some questions, and then finally we will move into some potential motions based on our workshop discussions and slide with some next steps. Next slide. So why update the critical areas ordinance? So just a quick statement. This is the last piece of the comprehensive plan periodic update that you all have been working on for the last few years. The Lewis County Comprehensive Plan and Development Regulations are subject to periodic review and must be revised and updated to comply with the Growth Management Act. Lewis County is required to complete this periodic update by the end of this year. The critical area regulations are required to incorporate updates to best available science. And best available science is produced by the state, most notably Department of Fish and Wildlife and Department of Ecology. Next slide. Tonight's materials include a cover memo with the potential motion. There's a copy for you all at your seats. The cover memo includes links to all the previous staff reports, presentations, and the draft revised code with commentary. Supporting documents are also found on the county website at the link provided on the slide. Next slide. And a few take-home messages is that overall, there's very few changes to the critical areas ordinance. The ordinance already complies largely with best available science, so there were very few updates that we needed to make. One of the most visible changes is the reorganization of the existing code. It does make the document look like there's a lot more happening when really very minimal changes are actually occurring. Substantive changes are centered around the updates for best available science, language clarity, and at the request of other agencies and departments. Next slide. So a quick list of what we've covered. Substantive changes included changes to critical areas reports, mitigation sequencing, hazard tree removal, demarcating buffers during land divisions, wetland buffers and slopes, drainage facilities, and aquatic habitat managed by ports or drainage districts, and other minor clarifications throughout the document. Next slide. So staff has prepared a potential motion on the next slide, and a hard copy is also provided to you. And before we move on to the motion, are there any last questions about the amendments to the critical areas ordinance?
Sorry, Gretchen just had a question of me, and I think it's good for the whole group to hear. The definition of qualified professional, was that in fact addressed from the report from DNR, and according to the staff report, that it has been as far as you guys are concerned?
Yes, that's correct. During the periodic update that for the development regulations, everything except for the critical areas ordinance, those hearings included the update to the qualified professional definition to include some of the items that you guys were discussing. I'm not sure if you wanted to expand, but
Yeah, at the last workshop, we talked extensively about it, so.
Yeah.
Okay, any other commissioners have any questions? Jeff?
Yeah, excuse me, but the sequence for the prior to the final approval of any land division, all of the surveying and staking and fencing and signage should be done. It seems like it would be done if there's an approval before any work is done.
so you would be typically, so let's say you're doing a formal subdivision, something that's not a short plat, you would have the preliminary approval, or with a short plat, there would be a preliminary written approval that outlines all the things that you have to do before you obtain the final approval, or the recorded, it'd be a recording of the short plat or a final plat process that
Yeah,
checks all
that-
those boxes for any other
Yeah,
improvements
my
also.
point is that's a big outlay of money, long before there's any approval. I mean, perhaps it doesn't get approved. It's just-
Those would be likely installed like right at the end, right before your, yeah.
So this only applies to plats,
Yeah.
the recording of plats. Before that kicks in, you have been preliminarily approved. And that preliminary approval has a list of things you have to do in order to get final, and we can't add to that. So you have been approved at that point.
Preliminarily.
Yes, but as long as you do everything in the list, you get final approval. The intention of final approval is just to make sure you've done things like built your road and so forth. So preliminary plat it is an approval.
Yep, those sites are anything but, clean by then.
Hey, any other commissioners? Bob?
Yeah.
I do. Were you going to, Natalie, talk about your response to the DNRs? The only reason I ask that is I'm going to, and I want to know if this is the right time to talk about it.
Yes.
Okay. Um, you know, all what I got to say is all good. Nobody's getting in trouble. I caught those memos on Friday afternoon, and my first thought was, who's sending stuff 2 days before we're asked to vote on stuff, right? Lots of questions, and DNR's 2-page document was the kind of document that you can't answer without studying it. You had to go and read what they said, and then even those of us that know it had to go back and read ours to make sure it covered it, right? This happens on Friday afternoon. And then the next one was 13 pages and was worse, right? Everything they wanted was hidden. And so I'm going, okay, how do I address this? Friday afternoon. And I said, I'm just going to have to call. I can't write an email that has all this. And so imagine my delight on Monday at noon when I get this. This is such a well-written document, Natalie, that answered all the questions and told me what I needed, said what my question was, and then it said what staff's response was. And staff's response was everything that I had read. I thought, okay, that's what I wanted. So hats off. Nice document. It's a great way to write, not 13 pages. Give it to me. There is a lot of background, and I've talked to other members. It's just inconceivable that they would be able to handle this wetland critical area stuff, right? Because you and I went to wetland training to do that, and that's how people get that. But so you rely on staff. Okay, this is my second pivot, and I think this is important to us, is we've talked basic, best available science. And that's a trigger word, obviously, for me about what that is, best available science. Oftentimes it is the best available science, but it's not science that's ready to be implemented right now. And it requires somebody's approval. Just because somebody says something doesn't mean you have to do it. So I was just absolutely delighted. I read on Friday, and they were going to throw this site-specific tree height in there. And I thought, man, my blood pressure's high already. What is staff going to do with this thing? But we're not taking this one, right? And so when I read that, did it exactly. It's best available science. It's not proven. And we as citizens get to have a say in some of this. My takeaway for Steve is you've raised a smart daughter, if you're still on here. And that's the way it's supposed to be done, right? And so best available science, it should be a trigger word, and we should be able to ask staff, prove it to me, right? Because they don't always like it. And so, well done. I'm ready to go.
That's two for Natalie tonight, because before you got here, I told Natalie what a great job I thought she did on that, so.
Oh, you guys
Great
are so
job.
kind. I really appreciate that.
We're
Thank you.
keeping score, so
I'm
good
glad.
job.
I'm glad. Excellent. Sweet.
Okay, other questions? Jason, I can't see your mic, so if you have something, let me know. Okay. Roger, Gretchen, Jeff? Okay, do you have any other comments or any other statements you'd like to make?
I do not at this time.
Okay. All right, then, since there are no questions from the commissioners, we'll go ahead and open oral testimony. Oral testimony on the critical areas ordinance will begin now. I will remind everyone, the public, staff, and commissioners to please be civil and respectful. Applauding and booing is not allowed. You will have 3 minutes, and since there's only one person online, I'm not going to read all of the instructions. But Megan, do we have an indication that he wants to provide testimony? Okay. Okay. All right.
It's nice to know you.
All right, then. Oral and written testimony is now closed on amendments to the critical areas ordinance. Are there any final questions for staff? This is one last go around the table here if anybody has any questions. If not, oh, okay, Jeff?
Yeah, just one absolutely general off the wall. In terms of buffers, what are we talking about? I mean, I was reading through that tall tree plus 100 feet kind of stuff, and it's like, huh? What? So what are the buffers?
If you were going by site tree, um, site, site tree, site potential tree height, yeah. Excuse me, yeah. So that would be, that's a more difficult calculation for whoever your biologist or habitat specialist would do when they're on site doing an evaluation, taking a look at all the species of trees, how tall they are, kind of their age, what kind of a average height you think that they're going to get, and then you start prescribing buffers.
Yeah,
around.
but speaking as someone that's in the building industry, I mean, it's kind of nice to know before you buy a piece of property what you're dealing with.
Yeah, it's a very good point, and why, yeah, we're not doing it at this point. Yeah. Yeah, it's much more easy to use prescriptive buffers for site development purposes, for sure.
Okay, there are no more questions. We will go ahead then and I'll entertain a motion from the commissioners. There is a potential motion that we could make that's on the screen. You only need to read the first two lines. The rest will be cited by reference. Okay. If you would like to change that, then let us know.
This is Bob Russell. I'd be happy to make this motion.
It'd be great to have you do it, sir.
I move to forward a transmittal letter to the Board of County Commissioners recommending adoption of the amendments to chapters 1710 and 1738 as presented in the October 8th, 2025 staff report with the following changes as listed.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Roger. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion from the planning commissioners? No deliberations, no discussion? Okay, I want to call for the motion then, call for the vote. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Okay. Moving right along here. Have to get through this meeting. Okay. Are there any items from staff for good of the order? As if I don't know.
Of course there are. Of course there are items. First, I do want to recognize that Natalie jumped in to critical areas and I literally just shoveled everything at her and said, please run with it. And she's done a tremendous job. So just thank you for getting us here. Yay.
Yeah.
Yep. So a couple of items for you guys. So we will be taking the short-term rental advisory group forward for the Board of County Commissioners to direct us to formally form that advisory group. And we will be asking for solicitation or for submissions, application submissions, the first couple of weeks of December. And the intention is to give them to you guys to deliberate and make a recommendation on the members for that new advisory group. So that will be a January activity that you guys will be undertaking for helping to form that advisory group. So I just wanted to let you guys know that the materials are in Packet Writer. I don't know if you guys ever use our tools through the board, but Packet Writer, you can get a hold of the materials at any point that they're in there. So if you want to take a look, you can. I didn't want to bother everybody, but I did ask Frank to review and give edits to those. So your edits have been incorporated in.
Thank you. Do we have access to Packet Writer?
Packet Writer is available. The way that you usually get it is the agendas that pop up through the Board of County Commissioner calendars and agendas. When you open the agenda, there's line items, and when you click on it, it'll take you to Packet Writer to those items so that you can actually read what's there. So that's the easiest way to get to it. But I'd be happy to send anybody a link if you want to look at what we're doing. So we're forming that group. We did revise our rules around forming advisory groups. And so we revised your guys' code 2, which is 211 in the chapter, just to move some things out of it. But we are going to bring your bylaws back to you to give you that formal process for interviewing for your replacement position. So as you know, we have Commissioner Spogan's position open. Commissioner Russell's position will be open as well. And so the bylaws have a new section in there about the process by which you guys will be making nominations for those two. So I will be asking the board we do have some applicants for the District 1, but I will be asking them to just open again because we now have the District 2 position as well. And then, so we'll take those in January too. So you guys are going to be doing a lot of thinking about people on committees in January.
Awesome. Okay. Are there any items from the planning commissioners for good of the order?
We're having a woody biomass conference at Centralia College from 1 to 4 on Wednesday, where we will be talking about Lewis County's AA rating for woody biomass and how that has been utilized by the Alliance to generate business interest in Lewis County. So if you want to come here, Representative Orcutt will be there as the keynote speaker and Representative Abarno. And we got a good lineup from 1 to 4 at Centralia College.
And Bob will be on that agenda too.
They always give me the mic. It's dangerous. Wednesday. This Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday in 2 days.
Short notice, but I think it would be good information for all of us if you are able to make it. Okay, anything else for good of the order? All right, the next planning commission meeting will be December 9th, 2025, and the agenda items will be training and potluck, one of my favorite kind of meetings. That is, what day is December 9th? It'll also be a Tuesday, okay? And then I believe didn't you send us an email saying that you're going to have a taco platter?
Yes. So I much rather talk about food than anything else, you know. So yeah, staff will provide a taco platter from down the road there. Hold on, Megan has a question. Yes, we do. We'll add the docket to that. Thank you. Yeah. Megan reminded me that you will also get the draft docket for 2026 on that date as well. So you got that too. But yes, to let you know, we'll do a taco platter from down the road. If everyone would be willing to bring a side or a dessert or some fun non-alcoholic drinks.
Sounds good.
That'll be at our next, we don't have a meeting at the end of November because it's Thanksgiving. So it'll be the next regular meeting, which is December 9th.
Okay.
Yep. And then we don't have a meeting right by Christmas either. So that will be the last meeting of the year. So
Last meeting of the year, and then we'll be selecting new chairs and vice chair, the first meeting in January.
that's right. You'll
Okay.
select chair and vice chair. And by then you should have the applicants for the short-term rental advisory group to go over. So we'll approve docket and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a great time to get people on board. So thank you for holding off and not interjecting, a new person, midstream. That was very wise. Okay. Are there any commissioners who will not be present at the December 9th meeting? Okay. Hearing none. All right. Are there any other items for that meeting? Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn? It might be, if you hurry, if you don't quit.
You're just about to break.
I had I had another really short meeting too one time. Not all my meetings are long. If I have a motion to adjourn, we can actually end it.
So moved.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, Bob. We'll see y'all next meeting.